Following is a presentation of VANDOGG Media for WBCM 100.1 FM on your FM dial. That's Radio Bristol. Stream us at listenradiobristol.org. This is In the Pit. Tonight, it's all about them local bands. Enjoy the show. You're in the pit on WBCM 100.1 FM on your radio dial, Radio Bristol. Stream us at listenradiobristol.org. What's up, kids? My name's Mike Vanek, and welcome to In the Pit. Join me for the next hour as we deep dive into some of the best bands from the Appalachian heavy music scene. You're going to hear some metal bands. You're going to hear some doom bands. You're going to hear a punk band or two. Ladies and gentlemen, it's on. We started out the show with some friends of mine, Obsidian Urn, and that was called Stagnant. That is their latest single that they just put out, and it is absolutely heavy as it gets. Those guys are from Bristol, Virginia, and check them out at your earliest convenience. All right, let's keep it going, shall we? Like I said, join me for the next hour as we rip right through some of the best bands that I can find from the Appalachian scene. And let's go up to Whitesburg, Kentucky, shall we? This is a cool band that I absolutely love. The song is called Werewolves on Pills. This is Buzzhound. You're listening to In the Pit on Radio Bristol. Stream us at listenradiobristol.org. 1, 2, 3, 4!
History of capitalism and what's specific and special about the crisis this time around. And the thesis there is that in many ways the form of this current crisis is dictated very much by the way we came out of the last one. That the problem back in the 1970s was excessive power of labour in relationship to capital. That therefore the way out of the crisis last time was to discipline labour. And we know how that was done. It was done by offshoring. It was done by, Thatcher and Reagan. And it was done by neoliberal doctrine. It was done all kinds of different ways. But by 1985 or 86, the labour question had essentially been solved for capital. It had access to all of the world's labour supplies. Nobody in this particular instance has cited greedy unions as the root of the crisis. Nobody in this instance is saying it has anything to do with excessive power of labour. If anything, it's the excessive power of capital, and in particular the excessive power of finance capital, which is the root of the problem. Now, how did that happen? Well, we've been, since the 1970s, in a phase of what we call wage repression. that wages have remained stagnant. The share of wages in national income right throughout the OECD countries has steadily fallen. It's even steadily fallen in China, of all places. So that there are less and less being paid out in wages. Well, wages turn out to be also the money which buys goods. So if you diminish wages, then you've got a problem with where's your demand going to come from? And the answer was, well, get out your credit cards. We'll give everybody credit cards. By actually pumping up the credit economy. And American households, British households, have all roughly tripled their debt over the last 20, 30 years. And a vast amount of that debt, of course, has been within the housing market. And out of this comes a theory which is very, very important, that capitalism never solves its crisis problem. It moves them around geographically. Right now is a geographical movement of that. Everybody says, well, okay, everything's beginning to recover in the United States, and then Greece goes bang, and everybody says, what about the pigs, you know? And it's interesting. You had a finance crisis, which in the financial system, which sort of half solved that, but at the expense of a sovereign debt crisis. History of capitalism has been about financial innovation. And financial innovation has the effect of also empowering the financiers. And the excessive power of the financiers, sometimes they do get greedy, no question about it. And if you look at financial profits in the United States, they were soaring after 1990. They're going up like this. Profits in manufacturing were coming down like this. And you could see the imbalance in this country. I think the way in which this country has sided with the City of London against British manufacturing since the 1950s onwards has had very serious implications for the economy of this country.
You're listening to In the Pit on Radio Bristol. Stream us at listenradiobristol.org. You are in the pit on Radio Bristol. What's up, kids? This is Mike V, and that was 1134 from Johnson City, Tennessee, with High Above You All. Before that, from Kingsport, Tennessee, you heard Poverty Bomb with The Price of Reliance. And those two bands just played for us at Fern Ridge Distro and downtown Bristol. And that show was killer. Before that, you heard Buzzhound with Werewolves on Pills. And then we started out the show with Obsidian Urn from Bristol with Stagnant. Let's keep it going, shall we? But before we do that, you know what time it is. It's time for that local show calendar. Coming up on October 17th, you see our buddy Kerry Allen and his show Buzzkill 100 live at Elderberg in Bristol, Tennessee on the 17th of October. That's a free show, and Moose Trainwreck Roberts will be playing. Also, Kerry's going to be doing a live Fuzzkill. It's going to be awesome. Check that out. Show starts at 7 o'clock. Then the next day, on the 18th, down the street in Bristol, Virginia, we have the Curse of the Haunted Axe and Ale House Festival. They're going to have a skate jam starting at 2 o'clock. And then at 4 o'clock, we got hella bands for you. You can see Resin Party, Ghoulgasm, the Sidfits, which is a Misfits tribute with Failure to Conform from Morristown. Wise Blood, Empire, and A Loving Embrace. Tickets are $10, and you get it at the door. Remember, skate jam at 2 o'clock, bands at 4 o'clock, and then on the 1st of November, you can see Windrider, Obsidian Urn, and Poverty Bum, and I think another band at the Hideaway in Johnson City. Show starts at 9 o'clock, and tickets are $10. And then on the 8th of November, you can see Windrider, Coffin Smoke, and Season of the Witch at Machiavelli's in Bristol, Tennessee. Tickets are $10, and that show starts at 10 o'clock. If you would like to hear your shows on In the Pit, it's real easy. Just text shows to 865-824-6427. All right, let's keep it going, shall we? This next band just got off tour, and we just mentioned a couple of their shows from Carter County, Tennessee, off their latest release, Revival, on Electric Valley Records. This is Under the Influence by Windrider. You're listening to In the Pit on Radio Bristol. Stream us at listenradiobristol.org. listening to In the Pit on Radio Bristol. Stream us at listenradiobristol.org. You are in the pit on Radio Bristol. What's up, kids? This is Mike V, and you just heard God Size from Johnson City with Punishment Hall. Before that, from Bristol, you heard Nerve Endings with Horse Glue, and from Carter County, Tennessee, we started out with Wind Rider, Under the Influence. Before that, you heard 1134 with High Above You All, Poverty Bomb with The Price of Reliance, Buzzhound with Werewolves on Pills, and started out the show with Obsidian Urn and Stagnant. Hey, would you like to hear your music on In the Pit? It's real easy. Just text music to 865-824-6427. Make sure you include a bio. I at least need to know where your band's from, and need a YouTube link of the song you'd like us to play. And it's that easy. We'll make it happen, Captain. Be one of the dozens of bands that we've played so far right here on In the Pit on Radio Bristol. You can stream us at listenradiobristol.org. All right, this is one of my favorite bands in the scene right now. We just had them at the Fern Ridge Distro here in Bristol. This is from Knoxville, Tennessee, Ninja Witch with Order of the Red Horse. Shout out to these guys that are doing big things, and we love them to death. You listen to In the Pit on Radio Bristol. Stream us at listenradiobristol.org. You're listening to In the Pit on Radio Bristol. Stream us at listenradiobristol.org.
Those fools ain't
You are in the pit on Radio Bristol. Stream us at listenradiobristol.org. My name is Mike V, and that is our show tonight. You just heard Empire from Asheville, North Carolina, by way of Boone, North Carolina, with The Grind. Before that, you heard Bacalo from Johnson City with Panic. Before that, you heard Ninja Witch with Order of the Red Horse there from Knoxville, Tennessee. You heard God Size from Johnson City with Punishment Hall. Nerve Endings from Bristol with Horse Glue. Windrider from Carter County, Tennessee with Under the Influence. 1134 from Johnson City with a High Above You All. Poverty Bomb from Kingsport, Tennessee with The Price of Reliance. Buzzhound from Whitesburg, Kentucky with Werewolves on Pills. And then from Bristol, Tennessee, or Virginia, Bristol, Obsidian Urn with Stagnant. My name is Mike Vanek. If you like what you hear, you can check me out every day on pirateflagradio.com. And please support local music, man. That's what it's all about. We have shows coming up here in Bristol. Check us out. You know what I mean? We're going to have a Facebook page real soon for In the Pit. But until next time, we'll see you right here on In the Pit with Mike Vanek on Radio Bristol. Stream us at listenradiobristol.org. Please stay tuned for Righteous Fuzz with my homie Carrie C. Allen right here on Radio Bristol. We'll see you next time.